Hey guys, Mr. Lloyd here, going to work with you today on Thursday, a chilly Thursday, May 21st. So we'll be working on this page here in our packet. It says day 4, May 21 up top. Math is down here toward the bottom. So today will be kind of a review of the concepts we've been working on for statistics. We've been working on finding the mean, the median, the range, and the concept of quartiles. And remember that each of these concepts, each of these little skills that we've been practicing, computing and calculating, they just help you organize data, they help us make sense of data, and they all relate to statistics in different ways. And they all relate to each other. All of these concepts relate to each other in different ways. So let's work through it here. The 4 data concepts we've been working on, here they are: mean, median, range, and quartiles. All right. And then on the next page, we've got a timeline. Here's our instruction. We're going to, use the timeline and find the median and the first and third quartiles of the timeline. So here is the timeline right up top. The first thing we want to look at when we look at this timeline, we want to look at the year that it starts with, and that's 3,700 BC or 3,700 BC. And it works its way from past over here on the left-hand side, further toward the present as we move right. And the last important date we have on our timeline is this this mark here, European World Empires and the year 1700. And so these are some of many of these are concepts that we had a chance to study with in social studies this year, although because the year was cut short due to COVID-19, we didn't really get a chance to complete this. So some of these important events, ancient China, ancient Greece, we didn't really quite get a chance to, but at least for today's work, we've got the dates here. And the important thing is that we use our math skills here to calculate the median and the quartiles. So as I wrote up here, you can see where I marked the quartiles, the median, and the quartile again here. What I did up top is I just wrote some of my thinking down in, just like I would if we were in class. This would be the kinds of things I'd write on the whiteboard. So first thing I'm thinking about is the median. The median is the middle point of the timeline. And so in order to find out what the middle point is on this timeline, I need to think about the oldest mark on my timeline, which is 3700 BC. And the newest, or the most recent, is 1700 AD. And then I find the difference between those two. So I subtract 1700 minus 3700. But it's a negative 3700. And the reason it's negative, if you remember how we use the idea of AD and BC, let me see if I can find it here on the graph. We use these, AD would be positive, so we're in the year 2020 AD. And then so our years go up. So next year, of course, will be 2021, then 2022, and so forth. So we count up in years, just like we use a number line, the positive numbers. But when we're looking at BC numbers, these numbers, if you'll notice, it goes from 900 to 1100 to 1500 to 2300 and so on. So the numbers on the left-hand side of 0 on a timeline are in BC, and we can think of those as basically being negative numbers for the purposes of computing distance between time. Don't get too caught up on this. It's something you'll work on a lot, the concept of negative numbers and operations with negative numbers, so adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. You'll be doing that a ton in middle school math. So don't get too worried if you're like watching this video going, what is he talking about? Mr. Like, who are you now? But this is how we calculate the difference between a year in AD and a year in BC. BC is recorded with that negative sign. So the difference there, 1700 minus negative 3700. When I'm subtracting a negative number, the rule is that I change that to an addition sign. So now I'm just adding these two numbers, and I get a total of 5,400 years. And so median, then, remember median's the middle point. So think about the range as the span. I'm trying to lean back so I can widen my arms out as much as I can. The span of the years. So the median is the exact middle point that marks, or the halfway point, if you want to think of it like that, just the middle point there. And I can either calculate this, I can divide 5,400 by 2 to give me my halfway point, or maybe I can see it visually. In this case, I just divided it by 2, and I got 2,700. So 2,700 years from this endpoint is the median, and 2,700 years from this endpoint is the median. So if I started out with 3,700 BCE, and I subtracted 2,700, or moved to the right 2,700 years, I'd end up right here where I marked it on with my blue pen. This is my median. It is 1,000 BCE. And 1,000 BC is 2,700 years away from 1,700, which is our last date that we have recorded. Okay, so a little tricky. It's not like you have to do a whole lot of, if you'll notice, it's not like I did a ton of multiplying and dividing. It's more organizing my thinking and knowing how the median divides this data set in half and how to mark that on this particular timeline, where to find that. And so, of course, I found it in between 900 and 1100 is 1,000. Okay, so, and in this particular timeline, it's right in between ancient Israel over here for 1100 BCE, and ancient Greece is over here at 800 BCE. So it's just right in between the marks between 1100 and 900. Okay? And then to think about the quartiles, I need to think about the same concept of when I took my range of data for the whole data set, all the dates, and I found the middle point, the median, and I marked it. Now I want to just look at the left side, and now I want to find the middle point of the left side. And so how many years do I have in the left side? Well, I have from 3700 BC to 1000 BC, it's 2700 years. So I divide that by 2 to get 1350 years. And that tells me that the first quartile is 1350 years from this point and from this point. So it just marks the middle of the left half of the data, if that makes sense. So I just subtract 3,700 minus 1,350, and I get 2,350, or the first quartile is 2,350 BCE, which seems like it's right in between ancient India, and the next mark seems to be ancient China. So you can see it right there. I marked it pretty close to 2,300 because it's just 2,350. And then the third quartile, it's the same concept. I'm looking only at the numbers from the median to 1700 AD. So from the median, I need to go up 1,350 years. But remember, I'm going from BC to AD. So BC, so remember, this is that, and it said this on the problem. It said you have to kind of combine your math skills and your social studies understanding. So we're going from 1000 BCE, adding 1,350 years. So here we get to the year 0. Looks like, yep. There we go. There's 0. I just couldn't see it because my writing's over it. So I get to 0, and then I need to go 350 years in addition to 0, and I mark it about right there on my graph, or on my timeline, excuse me. And so my third quartile is 350 AD. So the distance between the median and the third quartile, and the third quartile and the last date, those are equal sized, or equal number of years, or equal sized amounts, equal values. And same thing, they're the same value here. So we should be able to see this visually on a timeline pretty well. These should look like roughly equal sizes. You know, if we had a ruler out and we were using real close precision, maybe if we were using a computer to do this with some good graphing technology, we'd make sure these are exactly equal sized gaps here in years. But in this case, since we're just doing it with pencil and paper, just do your best with marking it. Don't get, as long as they're pretty close to equal, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so we were just using the timeline there to mark median and quartiles. And The process is pretty straightforward. It really helps to have this visual timeline laid out so you can see if you're dividing your data set into equal values. All right. I'll be posting the answers to the challenge problem in just a moment. Challenge problem is down here with all these dates. We will be going over that in the next video, but I'm going to stop this one right here. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions on this math, please ask them through Remind, through Google Chats, through YouTube comments. You can ask through email, have a parent or adult call me, or you can call me, either way. Lots of different ways to get in touch. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.